even if you did that one rule and that's it for the entirety of your travel, at least half of your meals are still going to end up being healthy. Prosecco and pizza. That's the routine.
Hey Steve, how's it going?
What's up, Matt? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Great. Welcome. We got some people in Spain, going to Mexico. We got people from around the world here excited about learning to stay healthy while they travel.
I'm into it. Do you want to talk about the expanse for like 4 hours first and then talk about getting healthy, or do you want to maybe just talk about getting healthy first?
That's a tough one. So everyone, I'm a big sci-fi nerd, and so is Steve. It's part of the reason we're friends, because we love nerdy stuff. But I just got him into The Expanse. It's a TV show about like set in the future and involves space. So I was like, oh, you got to watch the show. And then he liked the show. And I was like, you got to read all 9 books. There are 600 pages each. Start now. And he just finished book 7. So there's 2 more to go. And yeah.
Well, not only that, dude, but like you told me to watch the show a few months ago. And I watched the show very quickly. And then I ran out of show to watch, and you were like, well, there's like the books there's 9 books, but the show is only like 6 seasons. So it's like, well, I need to know what happens. So it's like, all right, fine. I'll start reading the books, and I don't know how long that will take. But that was like 2 months ago, and I've read 7 of them now. Like I just finished the 7th one this morning, and I immediately downloaded the 8th one, texted you, and said like, all right, I'm ready. Like I need to know what happens. So I'm going to read these last 2 books as quickly as possible.
They're so good. You know, we're going to talk about health and fitness, but guys, if you really want to like really nerd out on like a good TV show, definitely check out The Expanse. It's on Amazon. This is the last season. They crammed a bunch of books into the last season. But the books are just phenomenal.
They're great.
They're 600 pages long, but they're a quick read, and they engross you. Like, they just suck you in right away, and you're just like, well, I just read 200 pages of that book. It's really good. It's like, yeah, it takes place in the future, but it's not cool tech or mind-bending stuff. It's just good human story.
It's just good stuff. Like it's like
just good stuff.
Just read them. Essentially, that's all you need to just read them.
Just read them. Somebody asked if it's on Netflix. No, it's on Amazon Prime. So, all right. So, get into it.
All right, I'm ready.
Everyone, welcome to another Instagram Live. We are talking to Steve Kamb. He runs a website called Nerd Fitness. My name is Matt Kepnes, and I run a website called nomadicmatt.com. And I help people travel the world on a budget. He helps people stay in shape. I met Steve like 12 years ago now, probably.
Jeez. Holy crap, man.
Yeah, right? It's been
so
a
long
minute.
Ago in internet time.
Yeah. I mean, that's like a decade, like 5 decades in real life, you know? Yeah. Back then, he was writing mostly about travel and staying in shape and a whole bunch of stuff. And I was just writing about travel. We met as online, as all great friendships in the internet age do. And we've just stayed in touch. You know, we met in real life, I think, World Domination Summit, probably.
Yeah, Chris Gillibo's event. Yep.
Yeah. And then, became friends, and now we talk about sci-fi and Marvel a lot. If someone were to like peek on our text, it'd be like Marvel, sci-fi, Marvel, random thing about points and flying, Marvel, sci-fi. And so now he's, runs this massive site. He's got lots of information on staying in shape and staying healthy and online coaching and just really anything to get people to, as he says, level up their life, especially on fitness. So we got him on today to talk about how to stay in shape and healthy on the road in 2022, which is something I definitely, some solid advice I need. So welcome, Steve. Give him like a little heart here.
Sure. Hi, everyone.
So here's how it's going to go. I'm going to ask him a bunch of questions, and then I'll turn it over to everyone here, and you can ask him questions, whether about staying in shape, nerdy stuff, blogging, whatever you really want. Just do it through the question option in this Instagram Live, rather than the comments, because then I have to scroll up, and it's just, more complex, more work for me. All right, so Steve.
Yes.
Travel and food go hand in hand, right? We all love to eat when we travel. As they say, calories don't count on vacation. So, but they do count. So a couple of things I want to talk about is, first, one of the biggest obstacles I think to staying in shape on the road is home. You go to the gym, you have routine. It's easy to build in that time for the gym when there's so much routine. In travel, you don't have a lot of routine. Every day is different. That's why we love it. There's no gym membership you could go to. Before we talk about food, how do you set a good workout for the road? I think people can make healthy food choices, but then we're like, but how do I keep working out?
Sure. Well, so let me preface all this with I'm not just a gym rat that happens to be nerdy. Thanks to your site, Matt, all of 2011 and half of 2012, I lived out of a backpack, and I too traveled the world. I was kind of nomadic Steve following Nomadic Matt, but I run a website called Nerd Fitness, so I had to stay in shape on the road. So I had to come up with very simple, easy plans to follow that I could stick with without access to a gym, not knowing where each of my meals or where I was going to be sleeping, often that next night, because I'd be on a train or a bus or a plane. Yeah. And so everything about my life was in constant flux, but the only thing I had to keep constant was my health and fitness. So I have lived this life. I now live in Nashville, Tennessee, but I have traveled and I have lived out of a backpack, and I have done it while also staying in pretty darn good shape because I have to for my community. So when it comes to getting in shape, I think there's two different ways to think about this. One is how do I maintain enough fitness so that I don't have to ask the question, can my body handle it, when there's some fun adventure to happen while you're traveling? So whether it's needing to hike to the top of Machu Picchu, or even just having enough fitness to go on a walking tour, I would say that's the base level of fitness that I strive for, is not making sure that my body is capable of doing the things that I want to do, so that I don't have to be the reason why I'm not saying yes to something fun. I get to say yes because I know my body can handle it. So
I definitely couldn't hike to Machu Picchu right now.
Well, that's where the baby steps come in, and I'll use something that you've talked about quite a bit on your site, and something I have found incredibly valuable, and that is leveraging free things like walking tours. And then something that I love to do is checking Google Maps to the closest hostel or the hostel that I'm staying in, or the hotel, and looking for a big patch of green. That's probably a park. It probably has some trees, maybe a playground with a swing set, something that you can use as almost like your mobile gym. So at the very least, I try to go for a walk every single day while I'm traveling. It's great cardiovascular health. It's great for your lungs. It gets you out and exploring the city or the town that you're in. And it's also a great way to meet people. So at the very least, just walking. Especially those walking tours. They're usually free. You get to learn quite a bit about the city, and it's a great place to start. Now,
and they're 3 hours of walking. So, you put in 20,000 steps.
Make sure you have a good pair of comfortable shoes that have proper support, et cetera, et cetera. If you're somebody that is gearing up for a trip, and maybe you've been sedentary because you've been stuck in an apocalypse bunker during COVID, starting to build that back up using your phone or your watch or a pedometer just to track steps and try to start walking a little bit more each day can really help you, so that you don't end up with plantar fasciitis, or your legs are really, really sore after after that first day of I'm going to go walk for 3 hours. You'll probably be pretty sore for the next few days. So I would start walking to gear up for a trip, and then walking every day while you're on your trip is fantastic. 2.
And what about
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Walking is great for cardio. do you do runs? I guess anyone can do runs because if you're bringing nice shoes and shorts. But what about, you know, let's say I work out a lot at home. I want to keep that mass, you know, and keep sort of in shape traveling. Like, are there any sort of workout routines I can do in my Airbnb or my, you know, gym, like, sorry, hostel? Like, we got push-ups, but like,
Sure.
what else?
So body weight exercises are your friend. That literally means using your own body weight as the weight that you're pushing around. So the only thing, honestly, that I look for when I'm traveling is something to hang from. So if I can find a swing set or a overhang, like literally like a bus stop overhang, that's something I can do pull-ups on. So it's like, okay, I need a push exercise, which can be push-ups. And you can do like elevated push-ups on the back of a park bench if regular push-ups are too difficult, or push-ups on your knees. That's totally fine. Something like a pull exercise, and for those I love to do pull-ups, and then a lower body exercise. It could be squats, lunges, step-ups where you step up onto a bench. And like if you Google Nerd Fitness park workout or Nerd Fitness hotel workout, I have exact workout programs for free that you can just follow along with. It tells you exactly how to do these moves and what to do. And the way I think about it is every other day I try to do some strength training. So every other day I'm trying to do some push-ups. If I miss a day because I'm traveling, no problem. I just make it up the next day. I think what's important is like not trying to do some sort of bodybuilder program where you're like, okay, Monday is I'm going to do biceps when I'm in Spain, and then I take the train, and then I'm going to do this thing the next day. Like, it's too complicated. One 20-minute full body workout that gets your muscles, you know, kind of beats yourself up a little bit. You know, you're doing push-ups, it breaks your muscles down. It has this side benefit of over the next 24, 48 hours, the food that you consume is more likely than not going to start rebuilding that muscle that just broke down and build it up a little tiny bit stronger. So
I can eat anything then.
So when you, well, yes. Although traveling, I'm with you, like eating great food while you travel is probably the most the most filling and the most fulfilling part of travel for me. So when you do things like strength training, especially if you can find a way to be moderately consistent with it, every other day, a full body workout, a push, a pull, and a lower body legs movement, do those three things, like literally 20 minutes can help you kind of maintain where you're at. And it will help, like you said, when the calories that you do eat, they're going to start getting kind of sorted more towards the muscle building or muscle repairing rather than just store as fat and hang out in your belly.
Yeah. So speaking of hanging out in my belly, which a lot of things tend to do, before we get on the subject of food, you know, let's talk about nutrition. How do you feel about, you know, athletic greens and those sort of, you know, little dried bags of stuff you mix with water and hold your nose and drink? Because what, you know, you can always eat, and we'll talk about that. But one of the things I always think about traveling is nutrition, because when you're home, you can always make a salad. You can control your diet more so that you're sort of balancing out all the, you know, vitamins and minerals that you need. But on the road, that's not always possible, especially in destinations that might not get as much fresh fruits or vegetables. How do you think about those things? Worth the take?
It's a great question. So I'll say most supplements are a waste of money. Most of them. I'll say things like protein, pretty good supplement. I'll say things like creatine can be a good supplement if you're trying to build muscle. I can't speak specifically to athletic greens, only because I personally have not, you know, tried a trip where I am not consuming fruits and vegetables, but only consuming athletic greens. I know a lot of people swear by it, so I cannot present a for or against either way. I will say most supplements are useless, but athletic greens seems like it would be one in the right category as far as it's made up of the things from.
I just mean in general, like, you know, if I want to make sure that I'm getting a balanced diet on the road, do you think it's worthwhile for you know, supplements are useless if you're eating right, but if you're not eating right on the road, is it good to bring some sort of, you know, green pouch with you or whatever?
Maybe. Yeah, you know, it's a challenging question. One
We
that, you know,
we ask the hard questions here.
well,
Put you on the
sure.
spot.
I'll say this, like, you know, I do with Nerd Fitness. The thing that's most important to me is trying to make sure everything is backed by science, research, and I don't want to present arguments for or against something that I have not deeply studied. So I will say supplements as a whole can supplement a diet, but I wouldn't say like if you eat like garbage and then taking you know, a supplement every once in a while, like that's going to solve all of your problems. That's kind of like putting a Band-Aid on a gigantic wound. I think it could help. It can supplement one's diet, but I'm not ready to give like, you know, that's, you know, any supplement, whether it's Athletic Greens or others, again, only because I can't speak to, you know, the research behind it, nor have I, you know, spent months doing it to say like, yes, absolutely, I can give this the Steve Kamb stamp of approval.
Okay. Well, speaking of diets, and, you know, not a diet as in losing weight, just a diet as what you eat. So, you know, calories don't count when you travel, or so we like to talk about. But what are some ways to stay healthy, you know, in what you eat on the road? Because it is so easy to just fall off the wagon, you know, when you're traveling a lot, you're in a bus station or an airport and there's no good food options, and you're like, well, I guess I'll have this bag of chips. You know, I mean, I can't count the number of tubes of Pringles I've eaten as like lunch. And so, you know, because that's all there is of the bus station, and you're like, oh, I guess that's it. So food-wise, like, what are some things people can do to just make better food decisions when they travel?
Sure. I think there's two ways to look at this. One is, let's say you're on a 7, 10, 14-day trip. And the other one is you're truly nomadic, you're living out of a backpack, and you're on the road for months. If you're on the road for 7 days, a week, 2 weeks, whatever it may be, I would be less concerned about the choices that you're making, only because it's temporary, right? Like, okay, if you're in Paris, you're gonna eat everything in front of you because it's so delicious. You probably put on a few pounds, but then you come back home, you get back into your routine. If you're on the road for months, which is what I did, you know, back in 2011, I was on the road for 18 months. You have to be a little bit more considerate and a little more conscientious, I guess, of how you're eating slightly. I would not say you have to avoid any particular food. I'm not saying you can only eat chicken and broccoli and those are your only options if you want to stay healthy, because life is too short. Food is travel to me as it is to you, Matt, and that's how I feel about it. So I think there's a few rules that I like to keep in mind. One is, like, yes, it really does come down to energy balance. So like, if your only goal is to maintain your weight, especially if it's over many months, and you want to eat certain meals, like, just be aware, like, you're probably going to eat some really high calorie dinners. You're out at a restaurant, you're going to have glasses of wine, you're going to have a great glass of whiskey, whatever it may be. Like, if you're eating a lot of calories for dinner, that's fine. Like, I hope you enjoy it. You don't need to feel bad about it. You don't need to feel guilty. You don't need to shame yourself, but you do need to be aware of it. And by that, I simply adjust my next day by eating slightly fewer calories. And there's a few ways to do that. There's just eating a smaller portion of, you know, for breakfast, or a smaller portion for lunch, or you can do what's called intermittent fasting. It's not rocket science, it's not magic, but it's just a way for you to think about nutrition. And that simply means like skipping a meal occasionally, like have a really big dinner and then skip breakfast and then eat like a normal sized lunch. Because you're skipping an entire meal, you're more likely than not going to consume fewer calories throughout the day, just because you skipped a meal. Like, that's just the mathematics, essentially. Yeah. So when I'm traveling, those are the things I think of. Like, nutrition is key.
Do you have any apps that are good to maybe help track that or anything?
Yeah, I mean, you can. I literally use my watch. It's like, okay, I stopped eating at 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. or whatever. It's like, okay, my next meal will come at noon tomorrow. Look at my watch at noon. If you Google like intermittent fasting app, I'm sure there's apps out there for that. You can also use like MyFitnessPal if you want to track your calories. That's not something I encourage doing on the road, unless you're somebody that is like, has very specific fitness goals that you're trying to reach. You're trying to reach a certain body fat percentage. That's for like the 2% of people who are doing that. the other 98% of us, it's like, I want to look pretty good. I want to feel confident in a bathing suit, or if I'm out whitewater rafting, and I want to be able to do the stuff I want to do. So for the most of us, it's, okay, I know I need to eat a certain number of calories. If I eat too many, then I simply adjust by eating fewer calories the next day, or plan ahead by eating like a smaller breakfast and lunch, so that you can have a larger dinner with an extra glass of wine, which you're gonna do anyway. Like just it's planning for it. It's not tracking your calories in an Excel spreadsheet. It's just being like, knowing what your next few meals are gonna look like, or if not, knowing, if your dinner was really big, then adjusting your next few meals after that.
I feel a lot of it is just habit building, and getting into a little bit of self-control. Do you have any psychological tips on, how to do that when you're traveling? Because we will oftentimes, rationalize every meal. Well, I'm only in Paris once. Who knows when I'll be here again, so I'll go out drinking. But it's those sort of rationalizations that cause us to get off the wagon, so to speak, and then we lose our groove. So any sort of mental tricks on whether it's keeping when you journal, talk about food, or an app, or anything that can just sort of get people into the habit of thinking about, nutrition and food on the road?
Sure. I mean, there's a rule I've been writing about for 12 years. It's a rule we talk about with the coaching clients at Nerd Fitness. We talk about the never two in a row rule. And that's like, very simply, like, if you eat and I don't like applying morality to food, like healthy versus unhealthy, or good calories and bad calories. Like they're like a combination of atoms that happen to be tasty, and they might have a little more calories than other things. So like when I say like healthy versus unhealthy, I'm just using it in the sense that everybody understands what I'm talking about. If you happen to eat an unhealthy meal, enjoy it, like really enjoy it. And then make the next meal healthy. Like literally just try not to eat 2 unhealthy meals in a row. That's like literally the one rule. Or if you miss a workout, try to make it up the next day. So if you eat a delicious meal in France, or there's like a killer street, vendor in Vietnam or whatever, and you go all out for a meal, great, enjoy it. The next meal, try to have a salad. Like try to mix something green or fruit into that next meal. Like even if you did that one rule and that's it for the entirety of your travel, at least half of your meals are still going to end up being healthy. That's going to keep you a little bit close to on track. And then one other one, Matt, that I think you'll also appreciate is like forgiveness. Like everybody has the best intentions. I'm going to work out every day while I'm traveling. I'm going to eat only healthy things. I'm going to say no to that extra glass of wine. Like somebody that you met traveling 6 months ago is going to show up at the next bar that you're at, and you're like, holy crap, I haven't seen you in forever. Let's go grab another drink. Like these things happen. And like, those are the memories and the stories that you're going to go home with. So like, rather than beat yourself up about it, like acknowledge that it happened, be thankful, enjoy those memories. Hopefully you don't have too many glasses of wine because you might not remember them. But then the next day, like make one healthy decision, like do literally one thing the next day, go for a walk that's a little bit longer, put an extra, vegetable on the plate, take a slightly smaller portion, like just give yourself one thing. So that you're not like, you don't decide like, oh, the trip's ruined because I ate bad last night. Well, I might as well try again on the next trip. It's like, no. Like, that's fine. Enjoy the thing that you did and then make one decision the next day. Like, it's really like kind of like a battle with yourself, right? Like not letting yourself go too far off the rails, but also not beating yourself up in case you have a great experience one night, but it happens to be a lot of calories or a little too much alcohol.
Yeah, it's always the alcohol that kills you, right? Because you can make all the good food choices a day, but then, you drink 7 glasses of wine, you're like, oh, that's 700 calories, or more. I don't know how many calories 7 glasses of wine is. I assume it's at least 700.
It's at least 700. It's quite a few. But like, I wouldn't tell people if you're in France, like, hell yeah, have that glass of wine. But like, it's not, that wine does have calories in it. So you just have to be aware of it.
No. I try to, unless there is a reason, stick to 2 drinks. That's my like new travel rule, right? Like if I'm just by myself, I know I'm going to have a glass of wine with dinner. because, I'll go out, I'll take my book, I'll read a book during dinner. It's one of my favorite things to do. But there's no reason to drink a bottle by yourself on a Tuesday, right? So my rule is I'll max 2 glasses of wine, unless like it's somebody's birthday party or like we're going to some sort of event. And that way it sort of balances out those calories. Because you're right, it is a war with yourself of, part of your brain is like constantly wants to rationalize that extra dessert, the extra glass of wine, everything, especially when you're in a new country. And the other half is like, yeah, but you can't fit into your travel gear anymore.
Yeah, that's I mean, it literally comes down to like just having a few basic rules that you can follow, especially, again, this is more for the truly nomadic amongst us that are on the road for weeks or months at a time. You can't just go all in every night. And it's really easy for that to happen when you're in a hostel too. Every night it's somebody's last night. Every morning it's somebody's going to do something.
Mm-hmm.
So like you do have to pick and choose. I like the idea of every other day, picking going, whether it's all in or picking whatever it may be, but having some things that you can kind of bring you back to your reality. Go for a long walk, drink plenty of water, find a restaurant that does serve, a great vegetable stir fry or something that has vegetables, vitamins, minerals, etc. Knowing that the next day you might be back to ramen or, pasta cooked in the hostel.
Yeah. I also think another great tip is that even if you're going out, one of the things I don't do anymore is cocktails. Once in a while I'll have like a cocktail, I like a good old fashioned, but for the most part, I do the vodka soda or because it's an alcoholic drink, but it's like the healthiest alcoholic drink. I used to do vodka tonics, and then I realized tonic water has a ton of sugar in it.
So it's a crazy amount of calories, yeah.
So just like even what you drink can make a big difference on, in like the nutrition. Plus the next day, like all the sugar in those sugary drinks, really messes you up. All right, everyone, we are talking to Steve Kamb from Nerd Fitness. So, just when you're done with this, give him a follow for general fitness tips as well as fitness tips on the road. Like you said, you mentioned 2 blog posts, hotel workout and park workout when you travel. So check those out. I'm, Nomadic Matt. I help people travel on a budget. So if you're not following me and want budget travel tips, follow me. So just to sum up, what Steve's talking about, it's try to do one physical thing every day, a push, a pull, and
legs.
A what?
Legs.
A bend, legs.
Some sort of leg. Yeah.
Go for a walk. Do never 2, so which is never like do 2 bad things in a row, and try to stick to things every other day. Come up with a routine for yourself. Sum that up well?
I think that's pretty good. Yeah, it's try to make every other meal healthy.
Yeah.
Healthy. Again, use it. I hate the terms applying morality to food, but you get what I'm trying to say. A basic strength training workout, which again, just Google Nerd Fitness strength training or Nerd Fitness workout. There's dozens of free ones out there, and then daily movement. Walking tours are fantastic. Great places to start, and then watch out for those super sugary alcoholic drinks. They can sneak up on you.
Yeah, and if you find yourself, like you said, the best intentions, but not getting there, holding yourself accountable. If that's a little differently, get an app or write a journal. One of the things that held me accountable when I was traveling overseas, at least finance-wise, is I wrote down every day what I was spending, so I could see if I was overspending, coming in on budget or under budget, so I can get a sense of how long I can stretch my dollars out. So, if this is important to you and you're finding yourself just not really meant to, like just saying it, in your head isn't working, maybe write some stuff out in a journal. Journaling is really good in general. So I would say also,
Matt, I can't tell you how many times you've sent me photos of you. I just finished working out, almost like you're checking in, and I'm like, Matthew, I am proud of you, good sir. And you have somebody else that's keeping you accountable. Like, you know, you're just checking in with me, but if you have somebody else, whether it's a travel buddy or somebody back home that you said like, hey, I'm trying to not put on 40 pounds or 20 kilos on this next 6-month trip. So at least once a week, I'm going to text you a photo of me after a workout. And if you don't hear from me, then I owe you $50 or I owe you, you know, €30 or whatever. Like somebody else to check in with can kind of keep it fun, and it makes it fun for the other person back home too.
Yeah, especially because I might get a chance to get $50. All right, we're going to take questions from everybody. We have a couple already, but you know, if you have a question for Steve, whether it's travel related, fitness related, sci-fi related,
dog related.
He's got 2 dogs. He can give you some dog advice. We're going to answer some questions. Let's see. It's a very specific one. My challenge is getting enough fiber on the road. I need 25 grams a day. Any suggestions?
I mean, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, those all have fiber in them. You can do like a simple Google search of the foods that you're hoping to eat or looking to eat to see like if you're very specifically looking for that amount. Those would probably be the places that I would start. Whole foods, like I said, fruits, veggies, whole grains. You know, there's been a big crazy movement lately that carbs are bad and carbs are evil. I do not believe that to be true. Studies show that carbs aren't evil. They just tend to have more calories than you might expect. So you just need to be aware of it. But I think carbs are fine, and especially carbs that have a good source of fiber in them can be very helpful. So looking up foods ahead of time, prioritizing them can be a great place to start.
All right. Next question. All right, this is a good one. It also ties into one I just saw about resistance bands. What are some ways to weight train while traveling? Her full question that you can't see is, I don't want to carry weights. Is body weight training my only option? And somebody just asked about resistance bands, so I guess we can tie this all in together.
Sure. So the whole concept of weight training is essentially comes down to what's called progressive overload. That literally means every time you work out, you're just increasing the amount of weight that your body has to move. And like your muscles break down and then they have to build up stronger. So you have to try to replicate that with either body weight training, resistance bands is an option. I actually travel with gymnastic rings. They're literally 2 wooden rings that are super light and then 2 straps, and I hang them up over something, and then bam, I have a gymnastic routine. Body weight training, you just need to come up with different ways. So like, let's say you can do 10 push-ups and you're really good at doing push-ups. If you just did 10 push-ups every day because your body weighs the same every day, your body is going to get really, really good at doing 10 push-ups. And that's it. So you need to introduce progressive overload. You need to make the exercise slightly more difficult. So that might mean putting your feet up on a bench. It might mean putting your hands closer together. It might mean trying to do 12 reps or putting your hands further apart. It's introducing additional difficulty to those movements. And you can do this for every bodyweight exercise out there. It's why gymnasts are like super jacked, because they do bodyweight exercises, but they do like one-handed handstands, or they're doing iron crosses, or they're doing like, you know, super crazy difficult bodyweight movements. So you can get really strong. You can absolutely build muscle. It's what I did. I built muscle while traveling for 18 months by just doing progressively more difficult bodyweight exercises. And then yes, you can travel with resistance bands. They're essentially gigantic rubber bands. You can buy them on Amazon. You can just Google Nerd Fitness resistant bands. There's like we have a whole workout program for that as well, also free. And then Nerd Fitness body weight. We have free movements and free progressions that help you to go from like doing a push-up to handstands and eventually to handstand push-ups. So like you can absolutely build strength with just body weight. You just need to know how to make each of your movements a little more difficult.
Awesome. Okay. Let's see. Let's self-promotion. We've already talked about that. All right. Somebody said this might be a little too specific, but intermittent fasting may not work for diabetics. Any alternative strategy?
Sure. So intermittent fasting is, like I said, it's not magic. It's not a, there's nothing super special about it. It's literally just occasionally skipping a meal. Certain people can tolerate intermittent fasting really well. I've found that actually, different sexes tolerate intermittent fasting differently. So it's certainly not for everybody. It is a tactic that I have used personally, that others have used, but if you are diabetic or it's something you've tried and it doesn't work, that sounds like it's probably not going to be best for you. So in that case, you're going to have to be more diligent. If we're talking about, skipping a meal specifically to keep your calorie content down, that's going to be just like, okay, that means in future meals, if I'm still going to eat them, I should try to prioritize protein and fruits and vegetables on my plate first, because those are really are really like nutrient dense, but energy light. So they have less calories, but they really fill you up, compared to things like carbs and fats, which tend to have more calories, but fill you up less. And that's, that's compared to like empty calories, like cookies and crackers and whatever, that are tons of calories, don't really provide much energy. So if you're not doing intermittent fasting, you just have to be a little bit more diligent about or how big of the meals that you're eating are, and get a little bit better at identifying which meals you're overeating and trying to cut back on that a little bit. Awesome.
All right. Any final questions for Steve? I got a couple more, but they're travel related. Put you in the hot seat for a little bit.
Oh boy.
But if you have any more questions for Steve, drop them in. We will, I don't know, tone down our fascination. When we are traveling.
How do we tone down our fascination with all the new foods?
I don't think you would tone that down.
I would enjoy it. Maybe it's, especially depending on how you're raised, like you don't need to eat everything on your plate. Like if you see 4 different, especially if they're like reasonably priced, or you can make it, like if there are things that you want to try them, but that doesn't, just because you ordered it doesn't mean you need to eat the whole thing. So feel free to try a few different things, or try, hey, tonight we're going to try this. The next night we're going to rein it in a little bit. The night after that, we're going to try it again. Again, some sort of, every other option.
All right, Steve. So before we wrap up, and again, everyone, we're talking to Steve from Nerd Fitness. So, if you want fitness tips and health and nutrition tips for on the road and off the road, check out his site, his Instagram. They post some really good stuff. Steve, before we wrap up, I'm going to give you 10 questions.
Oh boy. Okay.
And they got to be like first thing that comes to mind kind of thing. Okay, here we go. Country with the food that surprised you the most.
Thailand. I was a picky eater, and then I got to Thailand. I'm like, oh, this is all amazing. What was I thinking for all of those years prior to this?
Country with your favorite food.
Thailand. Now I eat so much Thai food now, it's ridiculous.
Window or aisle?
Window.
Favorite Marvel movie? Oh, I just threw that in there for a loop.
Endgame. Endgame was so great.
Favorite airport?
Ooh. Shoot, what was it?
Thinking about this one too much.
I don't know. Barcelona.
All right. Favorite exercise to do on the road?
Handstands.
Okay, and we can learn about that on your website?
Google Nerd Fitness handstands. There's a whole thing. I pretty much Google Nerd Fitness and any fitness topic. I've probably written and recorded some video about it.
Okay. Favorite drink?
Ooh, whiskey. Whiskey with one big ice cube. Probably a bourbon. Some sort of bourbon with a giant ice cube.
Okay. Place you're most looking forward to visiting in 2022?
Italy.
We're up to 8. We got 2 more. Favorite book of The Expanse so far?
Oh boy, which one did they go to Illis in? Was that 4?
I think 4.
4. 4 is my favorite.
It's 3 or 4. I think
I think it was 4. 4 is my favorite.
Okay, final question. If you could go into space, would you?
Right now, no, I wouldn't.
Yeah, me neither. Way too scared.
Too scared. I'm too scared, man.
Way too scared. When it becomes like Total Recall, where they just have like shuttles going back and forth.
When it comes like The Expanse, then I'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Expanse. It's super easy. Nothing ever happens there.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Let's give Steve a virtual round of applause. I think that is the heart button here. If you want travel and fitness tips, check him out at Nerd Fitness. It's Nerd Fitness everywhere. nerdfitness.com, Nerd Fitness on Instagram, Nerd Fitness on Twitter, Facebook, the whole jam. If you want some travel tips, and if you don't already follow me, give me a follow, Nomadic Matt. I teach people how to travel the world on a budget. Thanks so much, Steve, for joining us on this Friday afternoon. Wherever you guys are in the world, enjoy your morning, afternoon, night, Saturday morning. I don't know. Time is all relative. So,
thanks, everyone.
Steve, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, dude. I hope you enjoy whatever cocktail you're having this evening. I will be drinking sparkling wine, eating pizza, and watching the latest episode of the Book of Boba Fett. So, want to share that I am practicing what I'm preaching. A workout this afternoon, a long walk tomorrow with my dogs and my wife, and nerding out and eating pizza tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's your Friday Prosecco and pizza day, right?
Prosecco and pizza. That's the routine.
I'm going to a birthday party, so I will definitely have a cocktail tonight. So.
Just have one. Mix a water in there every once in a while, will you, Matt? I don't need any text from you tomorrow morning.
I definitely have a lot to do tomorrow because I'm about to go to Mexico and have to put everything into storage. So I can definitely not be hungover tomorrow. So it definitely will be more than 1, but less than 4.
All right, that sounds good.
So, all right. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, man. Bye, everybody. Thank you.